Views expressed here are not supported by and do not reflect those of the Evening Rush Network. Viewers' discretion is advised.
Hey, babe.
Yes, ma'am.
What do most men want in a woman?
Realness, authenticity, a woman that's intelligent, that
I'm not sure I understand it, but everything seems brighter now than before. I don't know why I feel this way, but every time I hear your name.
Put that foot down now. That's awesome. All right, done. You get it twisted. That is.
It's all because of you. I feel the way I do. You make my dreams come true. Yeah. It's all because of you.
look at this fine thing at work.
And I don't fall in love so easily, 'cause I don't wear my heart up on my sleeve. Yeah. I don't know if you feel the same, but every time I hear.
Hey, we are back. Coming in here guzzling some water, but hey, hope everyone is having a wonderful week so far. How's your week been?
So far, so good.
Yeah,
I love it. I've been enjoying the time being here with our kids, dealing with life. Now that they're back in school.
Yeah, for us, I know some of y'all, school doesn't start for probably until after Labor Day or whatever, but for us, we've been in this thing for like 3 weeks, and it's already starting to take its toll, man. But no, it's good.
No, it is.
But yeah, just that transition, yeah, that's what this time of year is.
And what's crazy is that we like plead with our third child not to go to school and let us homeschool him, but he
loves school.
He loves to go to school. He loves a routine. So he loves to be social with his friends, even if he's really not saying much, but just to be there. He is very much like he wants to know what's going on. He wants to, and so for him, school is important.
Yeah, and I mean, and it's funny that we kind of just started talking about the kids, because that's what we kind of want to talk about today is parenting. It's been a wild journey for us, and the one thing I think that everyone needs to hear is that there's a lot of talk on how to raise your kid. Okay, and everybody's got an opinion on how it's supposed to go down, but I'll be honest, what I've learned is that they're all different, and what worked for my oldest didn't work for my second oldest, and then so on and so forth, right? Each of them are really different. They have different needs. They understand differently, the way that they comprehend what's going on, and maybe instructions that differs as well. And so it's been a journey understanding that, because when I was a kid, it was this, you had to conform to the way it was, and that was it, and if you didn't, you got beat. And some kids just got beat a lot, because they couldn't do that conforming thing, and most of the people are probably leaders now, but looking back, they're probably like senators and congressmen, the people that won't pass good bills,
Take all our money.
I ain't doing it. but yeah, it's funny, man. Just over the years, learning and understanding finally that it's okay to be different with your kids.
Yeah.
Right? Like each of them need different things from us, and understanding that and being able to communicate in a language that, it hits home for them is nice, because in the beginning it's frustrating, because you're trying to do things maybe the way that you were taught, or maybe what you read in a book or saw on what's that nanny show where she would come, that British lady,
Super Nanny.
Super Nanny. She would
I
come to
love Super
all
Nanny.
the bad kids' homes, and
I would watch and
yeah.
see like, okay, what can I do to become a better mom? You know, because of course Super Nanny would have the answer, but she didn't have the answer to my kids.
No.
And so
Yeah, you had to learn
you
them,
had to
right?
learn. I
And
did, yeah.
it's crazy. You know, we look back and we're like, man, and I wish we had have known this then,
Hmm.
because it would have
Saved us a
really,
lot
yeah,
of, yeah.
and them a lot of heartache and, you know, just unneeded issues. And I say that, but then I also realize that everything kind of happens the way it's supposed to happen, which is what leads me into my next thing. No matter how we parent, as long as we're learning, you know, that's the first thing, right? Is
Yeah.
that as long as we're trying to strive to be better
Yeah.
each day. But I think that the hardships and those learning curves and those rough moments are really needed, and that's what really make us great parents,
Hmm.
as we stick it out
Yeah.
and continue to try to learn how to unlock the mystery of our family, right?
Hmm.
Our kids.
Right.
And as we do that, we're really becoming really strong as an individual, and we're strengthening our family as a byproduct, and it's a cool process as long as you commit to the journey.
On the journey, you got to be able to put your ego down, to be honest with you, because that's where a lot of that comes from. It's like, at least for us, that's where I at least felt, for me, that's where it came from. I was very much like, my ego is like, oh, I own you, you know, like, you're my child. I own
Yeah,
you.
they're
You
very
have to
possessive.
listen. Yeah, like, you have to listen to what I say and and do what I tell you to do, and you know, that controlling, and that doesn't get anybody anywhere. One, that just really conditions them to feel like when they get older, they should always have somebody to always tell them what to do. They're
Yeah.
conditioning already to be like, okay, I don't know how to get ahead and make decisions on my own, so therefore I always have to have somebody tell me what to do, like a robot, constantly.
Yeah.
And you become an adult, you act like that just goes away. It doesn't. You just did what you did as a child. You're just not an adult. And you got to be able to learn that, like, be able to figure out, each kid comes with a different blueprint.
Mm-hmm.
Each kid has their own DNA. Yeah, it might, everybody's like, oh, well, you know, we have like the same genetics because, you know, we're family. Yeah, in a sense, yes, but everybody truly has an own DNA. If I was to murder somebody, they wouldn't come after Chad's DNA to go find my prints.
Right.
So at the end of like, understand that each child is really different, just like you're different. And you have to think, like I was telling our son earlier when we were in there cooking, I was like, the person you are now, Eli, at 12 is not going to be the same person you are at 14.
Yes.
Not the same person at 16.
Yeah.
Because you would have evolved, you would have changed. So you're always different. Constantly.
Yeah.
You're constantly different. You're not that same person. And so treating your children like they were when they were whatever age that you're still looking at them like, just
Oh
hurts
God.
them.
Oh
It
man.
just cripples them so
Say that
much.
louder.
Because at the end of the day, you're not helping them become the adult that they need to be. I always explain to my son, like, the reason I'm asking you to do this is for you. You may look at it like, oh no, you're asking me to do this because you think I don't have anything to do. Well, one, he's a kid. A lot of times they ain't got nothing to do. But it's also to help them understand, like, hey, all of this I'm trying to teach you, I'm trying to prepare you for your future, so you're equipped now. Therefore, if you don't want to listen to anything that I'm trying to just help you with, by all means, go figure it out, baby. Go figure it out.
You're gonna figure it out one way or the
And
other.
that's the thing, you really will. We
Yeah.
always say that too. I'm like, you either will figure it out
You're
the
gonna be
hard
all right.
way, or you'll figure it out. I don't even know if it's an easy way about life, to be honest with you.
Especially not parenting. Parenting is hard, you know. But what I will say is that I think it's about, you know, like we were talking earlier, like setting a tone for your family,
Mm.
getting everybody on the same sheet of music, this is how we communicate with each other. This is how we flow. You know, this is the vibe in our house. And you know, one of the things that, if you've been listening to us long enough, you know that we changed the vibe in the house, right? And when the vibe was really tense and just kind of, yeah, just really tight and not very free, there's a lot of issues with our kids, with between them, with us. You know, it was like everybody was tense. And then as soon as we changed the vibe in the house, the whole tune changed. Everybody's demeanor began to become different. They started interacting differently, and the rest is history, right? And so it shows that us setting the tone, and as parents, we do have the power to set the tone in the house, to kind of cast the vibe that we want to permeate our residents, our family. And that is within our ability to shape and form and ensure that it takes place. And as we've done that, we've seen a big change in our family and just their own personal lives as well. So,
and the kids will do it too. That's the thing. We've shared that also with you. It's like a natural, energetic, magnetic force that just happens when you're around good energy. You just want to feel that too. And so you're like, how do I get that? How am I able to stay in that type of vibe? How do I get to feel that good all that time? How do I get to have that knowledge and that energy of just knowing that I am free enough to respect my parents, right? But I am free enough to know that I'm still my own person. Like, that's where I think a parenting can really become easier, is when children start to be like, okay, I need to respect them, right? But
well, let's be real. They're gonna test them waters as often as they possibly can, because that's what kids do. So, you know, I think that it does happen in the long term. You know what I mean? But I think that it doesn't come without them trying to see where they can kind of test those waters and
for sure,
and see where they can kind of move the bridges, you know, to their advantage.
I think we've all done that.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
I think it's a part of like the life cycle.
But if you stay consistent, if you and like you said, if you stay consistent, even when they aren't trying to go with the program, right? But you ensure that this is the program, right? And you're gonna get those results that my wife is talking about, and it's beautiful. And then they're going to eventually see, okay, this is good for me, you know. But there is a process, and so we all have to realize that too. There's a process to teach anyone anything, for us to learn anything, you know. There's a process
for us to relearn.
Yeah. And so, like, honestly, you know, when I look back, I wish I had some of the knowledge that I have now.
Me too.
You know, I would have allowed my kids to be more patient by telling them no a lot more at an earlier age. By making them wait for things before just giving them things. You know, I didn't do that because as a kid, I thought, especially when you don't have a lot growing up, you feel like, oh, I got to give them everything, right? And so then you do that, but a few years of that, and then you realize your fatal flaw, right? You just made a very, very big mistake, because now they're impatient. They want what they want, and they don't understand why they can't have it, because for what they know is their entire life, it's been one way. And that presents a problem when you begin to move through life, you know. And we had to face that too, you know. We because we did it. We gave them everything. But, you know, looking back, that is one of the things
it didn't hurt them.
I would have changed about the way that I parented.
Because now because what we had to do is turn around and now we got to try to learn. We have to relearn each other. You know, now it's just relearning each other, because it is like, hey, this is how It used to be like this, but now it's like this, right? This is the growth. That's what we always say. This is the growth. And I'm always trying to explain to them, like, or really just our oldest, because he's always kind of like comparing in his own way about like how we were as his parents to how we are with our youngest. And as I explained to him, you have to understand, like, you all got four different versions of a mother. Four different. I am not the same person I am when I'm standing in front of my daughter, that I am when I'm standing in front of my oldest son, that I am when I stand in front of my third child or our youngest. I'm a complete different mother in front of each child because they need me to be different for them in different ways.
You know what? I want to answer Don's question real quick. Do you feel that we have spoiled them in a sense? Yes, I do.
1000%.
Yes, I do. Let me tell you something. That's a great question. And I 100% believe that what ends up happening in most cases, most of us are having children fairly young, right? In early, for us, we weren't even 20 before our oldest was here, right? And so boom, there you go. But most of us are having kids within between 18 and 24, and we're still kind of growing and figuring ourselves out.
Right.
But this is the most formidable time, that first 6 years, and we're still young. We're still, we don't understand the importance of this time in our child's life.
Yeah.
We're still focused on growing a business or getting our ducks in a row or
keeping a job.
Right. Whatever it is, whatever your mess is when you were young.
Yep.
And your child shows up, and instead of adjusting ourselves, we began to give to them to pacify them so that we can continue to do the things that we wanted to do. Right. Or in my case, I wanted them to have what I didn't have. Right. And so I would get, even if they didn't need it, even if they didn't want it, if they didn't earn it. And so they just got used to getting and never having to earn anything, never having to go through struggle. Everybody loves a good underdog story. Everybody loves that. We watch these shows where it shows different fighters and all the struggle and all the sacrifice that they had to go through to get to that point in their life. And there's been a lot of downfalls in a lot of these guys' lives, but they're still there.
Yeah.
Right. And what I feel like is a lot of kids don't have this today. And I can't blame anybody but us as parents, because we are the ones that are responsible for shaping that part of our kids, that resiliency, that ability to have a no and manage ourselves, right? And maybe fail and fall and learn how to learn from that. And just like when they were learning to walk, how many times did they fall trying to just figure this whole process out? But they just kind of giggled and got back up and stumbled through it and figured it out, and they just kept trying and kept trying and kept trying. But somewhere along the line, we kind of frowned upon that kind of resiliency, right? Or we tried to pacify it so that way we didn't have to be as involved, or whatever the case is of why we gave to them. We do that instead of teaching them how to go and get it themselves, right? At a young age. One thing I will say is being around more of the like business oriented people, they are not giving their kids a lot of money. They are teaching their kids side hustles. There was one entrepreneur, he's a millionaire, but his son was teaching other millionaire kids' sons how to do something on a game or on the computer or something, but he learned something, right? And he was hustling it, and that's how he was going through his friends and everybody else. But that comes from the parent teaching the son that you can take ordinary crap that you have around your room right now, and you can turn it into a profitable business. Let me show you how. Now I'm not going to go do it for you. I've shown you how. Now go do it. And if it doesn't fly or take off, it's because you didn't implement what I taught you how to do. right? And they learn a lesson regardless.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And I think that we have forgotten that art, and I right on that same list of people, I didn't do it. Now we do it a lot more.
Mm-hmm.
It is a main key to how we
How we
parent
parent,
now,
yeah.
right? Everything has to be
Everything
based on
earn. You have to earn
on what you
everything.
do. So, and if you we kind of removed ourselves out of the equation. So it's not about pleasing us or not pleasing us,
Right.
or what we want, or this is what has to get done. This is what your responsibilities are. These are the consequences if you don't do them. These are the consequences if you do. And we've taught them that there's consequences for good actions and hard work, and there's consequences for laziness and being, just, one of those angry worker guys, right? And so we've taught them that you're gonna taste the type of fruit that you grab off the tree,
Right.
and that's just what it is. And so that's kind of how we've done it. So that way we're involved. They mess up, you knew what was coming, you knew what you had to do, you knew what was gonna happen. So and it's worked out really well.
I think it's benefit
Yeah.
us and the kids. It's less stress for us. Our anxiety doesn't have to go up. We don't have to be yelling and got to be on staying on top of them. I don't have to do none of that because they know at the end of the day what is coming. That's the beautiful thing about teaching them how to be successful for their success, their own success, is showing them by teaching them how to do it on their own, is giving them value and is giving them security and is giving them that confidence to know, like, I just did that. When my kids go in the kitchen and they cook for their family, okay, when they're able, we all in there eating the food and we're like, oh, this is banging. That makes them feel good to know that at such an early age, from my children range from anywhere from almost 23 to almost 13, that they can cook meals. They can actually get in the kitchen with what they have in the house and make something.
Yeah.
And make it taste good. That is accomplishing at 30, because there's so many 20, 30, 40, 50-year-olds that don't know how to cook, don't know how to boil water. And so just those little strategies help boost their confidence. It helps give them the knowledge too, to like, they got to learn how to like go grocery shopping. They got to learn, like, they got to budget, like all these things that they're learning how to do now. I'm not waiting for them to go ahead and mess out there. I want them to be successful.
Yeah.
I want them to be, because I don't want them to actually come back here. That's the goal. I don't want them to come back. I want you to walk away from this house knowing that you can take care of yourself, because you've been doing it while you lived in my home, or our home, our family home. But you've been doing it. Life. So now you just so consistent. You just you know exactly how to take care of yourself. And if you do end up having a family, you are good because you watched your family, right? You saw the conditioning, how your family did, like, oh, my family did this, my family did that. I like the conditioning of how this all worked out for everybody in my family, instead of looking at the family saying, like, I don't really like the way my family dynamic is set up. Like, there's just something doesn't feel right about this, but I don't know how to change it because only thing I see is my parents. I see how my parents flow, so that's all I got. So if this is how they work, okay, I'm either going, your child is going to decide to either flow like you or decide to go the opposite way and do better. That's it.
Or if you're doing really good, your way would be great.
That's what I said, like flow like you.
Yeah.
If they do it good, that's the key, is trying to show the family how to be successful.
Yeah, and I think also one of the things that, we look at, all right, so think about the marriages, all the marriages that we're talking about, we talk about their failure rate, right? And that's why everybody's so scared. There's so many myths around marriage and how horrible it is and this and this and that, right? But when I was growing up, people stayed together. People stayed together, even when they shouldn't have, right? Like, even at times I'd be like, hey guys, y'all should tap out, man. Like, y'all should probably never have met, like, this was a mistake, but they still stuck it out. And I think that goes back to even as kids, right? When I think about parenting, kids nowadays, they don't see anything through. Okay. So for instance, our son wants to learn how to play drums. And we were like, okay, cool. Lessons are this long for, they have like a package or whatever, and it costs this much. It'll be this many weeks. And before he could say yes or no, we told him, if you sign up and we pay this money, you are committed for the entirety of however many weeks this is. And that's something that I don't see as often anymore. Kids don't like it after trying it once or twice, and the parents let them just kind of bail because they're scared that the kid will act up or, whatever, right? And I think that plays out in different ways later on in their life, in their relationships, jobs, why they can't hold down jobs, right? They're just used to, oh, I don't like this, I'm quitting, right? And so they never figure out how to just kind of get through hard moments or things that they don't like, but they have to do for this season in their life. Right. They're not taught how to grind. They're not taught how to see things through to the finish line. With our kids, like if you sign up for soccer, you're playing soccer all year. Now, next year, you don't have to play. I'm not going to make you. But this year, buddy, you're all in, right? So you better go practice. You better go do whatever the soccer people do, right? Go do that. Okay. And that's kind of how we kind of looked at most of the activities that we put our kids in. And the few times that we pulled them out just because they wanted to, that's where I feel like we made the biggest mistakes. But when we made them see it through, they were proud of themselves. They had that experience. They learned some things about themselves. And even if they don't want to do it again, they're better humans for having done that, even if they just walk away learning some teamwork.
Right.
So I think that, and this is also where our kids learn things outside of what's being taught in our home too. Because you got to understand, all they're going to know is how you do things. Right. It's when we go out to, get football coaches and, whatever, art teachers, and list goes on, and our friends and their parents, and you begin to see that your child begins to get cultured, and so having them put in that environment, it's multi-purposed, in my opinion. It does a lot of different things.
No, I'm in agreement with you for sure. I really believe that that's how kids are able to then also see other family dynamics, and then see how certain things that they don't like.
Right.
It's not always positive, but they can see things like, oh, yeah, I don't really like that. Our son knew, our oldest knew right away when he was younger that he didn't like spending the night at people's house. He knew right away. It just wasn't his thing. And I don't know. Well, I do know, but here nor there, there were just things he just felt like he was like, nah, I just don't need that. I don't need that in my life. And he was able to pick up other families and how they did certain things and how they interacted. And he just came home and would, share that with me. And then I would try to break it down for him to explain, like, every family is so different. Every family thinks different, right? Every family goes through their own way of how they set up their kids and what they look for in their kids. And for him is like devastating because he's so used to just the way our family does things.
Yeah.
And that's why other cultures and other way that children can interact with others are important, so that they can actually see and be enlightened by what they, sometimes it'll enlighten them what they do have instead of what they don't believe they don't have.
Yeah. And a lot of times they'll pick up some really good things from other cultures, and you're like, and it just makes them better, right? And that's why not, right? So it's a win-win either way. But yeah, I feel like that quitting mentality, we allow our kids nowadays to quit because of that spoiled mentality. We don't want to deal with, as parents, we don't want to deal with what comes with saying no or making our child do something that they don't want to do. And I think it's something you have to change. If you want to be successful in parenting, you have to be willing to stand up to your kid. You have to be willing to say no. At the end of the day, you have a role as a parent, and you got to play your role, man. And it's your job to look out for them, to teach them, to show them the things that they don't see. But what I will say, and we always preach this, is that communicating to your child, even in correction, is super important.
Mm-hmm.
You know, when I was growing up, it was because I said so, and shut up. If you got whipped, it's because you were wrong.
That's right.
You know,
I deemed that you were wrong,
like,
so you
explanations were like one words. You know, one word, because I'm beating you because I'm bleeding because you know, and but I've learned that being able to communicate to them why, trying to help them understand our perception, where we're coming from. Okay. Also communicating that I see where you're coming from. Okay. If I can. Sometimes there might be times where you can't, and I'm gonna tell them. I'm honest, right?
I don't agree. I cannot see that, but okay.
Like, what are you talking?
Yeah, well, okay.
You saw who? Right. I don't know. We're not seeing the same things, and they'll learn something from that as well. But at the end of the day, communicating clearly with them, and this is why I was saying in the very beginning, being on that same page with your children, knowing how to articulate yourself in a way that's going to hit home for them, so that they can understand. Not that means that they get out of trouble if this is a trouble thing, or you know, something like that takes place. It's not like that, right? But that they have an understanding to chew on, right, as they move forward with whatever's going on, right? They can chew on that. And what we've seen in our own kids' lives is that years later they come back and they're like, I see it now. And that's a good feeling as a parent. And that's the other, you know, before I do anything else, I want to say that, you know, sometimes being a parent, it can be very empty, and you feel like you're always wrong as a parent. You feel like you just don't get it right. And we felt this emotion. We still have moments of feeling these emotions, and you just feel like you cannot get it right, man. Kids pissed off at you, right? Maybe you lost, and you lost your temper a little bit because they've. And I always like to look back and say, hold on, but should they be able to provoke somebody to that point? Would they be able to do that in the street without some form of adverse action happening, like a fist in your face? Probably not, depending on where you live, right? So I always like to think about that as I'm feeling bad. And I'm like, hold on. No, but
no, he's for real. We do think about that.
I do.
And we tell them, like, if you was somebody on the street or somebody that didn't know you, you already got knocked out by now. But here,
my point is this, is that you're doing better than what you think you are as a parent.
Yeah.
You are the parent that your child needs, period. Yes. Okay. For this time in their life. And you just have to move with confidence, follow your intuition, stop listening to every guru and expert, and listen to your own intuition and your own child, because they're usually telling you exactly what they need and want. We just don't want to listen to them. You know, but if you can do that, you will win. Your child will win. And later on down the road, they're going to come back and they're going to be like, man, I didn't understand them, but now I do. Right. And thank you. And that's a really great feeling. But in the process, you're not going to always feel like that. You're going to feel like you're failing and you're not making good decisions. You're a bad parent. All of those emotions, and just kind of try to remember these words when those moments hit, and know that you're the parent they need, right? And in saying that, we're going to take a quick break. We'll see you in just a minute.
Hey, what's up, you guys? It's your girl, Chrissy, here to let you know that the Evening Rush Network now has an app. Yes, an app, you guys. So you can stay connected on the go and watch all your favorite podcast shows. You can download the app at Google Play Store or Apple iTunes. So spread the word. Tell a friend to tell a friend. Also, if you're looking to start a podcast and really don't know how, well, hit us up at the Evening Rush Network at gmail.com and inquire about time slots, pricings, and everything you may need to get started. We got you. Join the winning team, the Evening Rush Network. And also, download that app. What are you waiting for? get to it.
All right, we are back and talking about parenting, right? And how tough it is, but that you just stick with it and things usually work out.
I just wanted to say real quick, one, I don't have much more to say. Chad is really, you know, he's great with the mic. He's great with the mic. Once he can talk, but then he gets off and he's quiet, and I absolutely love it. I do. I absolutely love his knowledge, and I love that he shares with you guys the same information and knowledge that he shares with us. And let me tell you something real quick. I just wanted to say that if you are a parent of a special needs child, the only difference is a little bit more patience. It's just a little bit more patience. They are still children. They are unique. They're unique in their own way, just like the rest of us. This conversation is a little hard at times because the way that I talk about special needs children, or really just the community and all, I don't treat them I try not to treat them any different than I would anybody else that I see, because they're no different than anybody else. They just might have a more physical deformity, or their minds might not be as equipped as far as like as fast or comprehension wise. But there are plenty of people that may not have a high IQ or may not have a disability with the label, but yet their comprehension might not be there. What I'm getting to is, don't feel bad for your children who have a disability. The reason that I had started to baby my children, my especially my last three, is because my daughter had the stroke at 5. I had got pregnant. I was already pregnant. And so then when Talon turned 1 and we had got him diagnosed with autism, and then he became nonverbal, I was also pregnant during that time, again for the 4th time, with our son Elisha. And then he got diagnosed a year after he was born with autism, and he had a learning disability. At the end of the day, I took those labels on and I placed them on the children as if they weren't equipped to still learn or do for themselves or have the capability of living a longevity life, right, without me. And I baby them, and I needed a wake up call, right? I needed a wake up call to sound like, wake up. Like, they are more than capable. They just have to be taught, and you need to learn more patience. And I'm talking about me as the parent. I had to learn more patience. And when I learned I had to put my patience button on, and I had to take that ego and stomp on her and really look at my family dynamic and how I was parenting and say, no, this isn't working for this child. This isn't working for me. This is not working for the dynamic that I want for us. So I have to fix it. So please understand, if you have children, if they have special needs, take the labels off them. Understand, yes, you get it. They need special care. I'm not saying that. But what I am saying is, don't baby them.
They can do.
They're more than capable.
Yeah, they do a lot more
than
than what a lot of people are willing to give them the ability to show that they can do. And that's one thing that we've learned. And look, man, we're not trying to throw digs. This is probably one of the hardest things when someone has a disability and you are trying to teach them how to do something that doctors or therapists have said might never happen, or is going to be very hard for them to do, whatever, right? And they have these complications that you're going to have to kind of hurdle over to accomplish this. That can be like,
really intimidating.
And just the view of it, right? Just looking at it, like, I don't know how we're going to do this. But I promise, if you just start moving towards the goal, it unfolds itself. You learn your child, and y'all begin to hop these hurdles together in unison at your child's pace.
That's right.
Right? And a good even flow. And they do remarkable things. You got to understand, our son, nonverbal for 8 years.
Mhm.
8 years. Do you know how many specialists said that he was probably never going to talk? And there are kids that still go even longer than him, right? But what I'm saying is that I really believe that what changed is our approach. We stopped babying, like Lanell said, and we began to really put in the work to show him how to form words and how to use, his vocals, right? And it paid off, but it was a lot of work. But if you're willing to put in and invest into your child, they can do great things. There are autistic children out here with podcasts and artists and doing really big things, man. And so just because they have a special need, just because they have a label, doesn't mean that they can't live. What is that movie? Peanut Butter Falcon.
Peanut Butter
Man,
Falcon.
if y'all have not seen Peanut Butter Falcon with Shia
Shia
LaBeouf, y'all should do
So
that.
good.
Because
Champions. Watch the movie Champions with Woody Nelson, I think his name is, or Woody.
that was
Watch that if you have. I'm telling you, amazing stories about how these just amazing humans, right, just show their capability, and that's all it is. They're
just because we're all different.
We're all different.
That's what's crazy
I
about all this.
know.
We're all, and if you're honest, we try to fit in with everybody, right? We try to fit in with little groups and little cliques, but at the end of the day, we all kind of learn a little different, see things a little different. We are a little different, and that's okay, right? That's okay. Don't disqualify somebody just because somebody else that doesn't know this person put a label on them.
Amen.
Right? That's all we're saying, right? And give them a shot. Give them a shot. And maybe they won't be able to do one thing, but they'll maybe learn how to do something else, and it'll start something completely different that opens up a lot of great things in their life. And it all started with effort.
Yeah.
Just not quitting, not accepting that we can't do, right? And you would probably want your child to do the same thing. That's what we were talking about earlier, about not quitting, about staying in, finishing. Like, okay, it might be tough. We're going to get through it. And I think as a parent, it's really, if we can just teach them these qualities, patience, hard work, good ethic, good character, being loving, giving, the rest of this stuff is going to work itself out because they have a solid moral compass to navigate life with. And you can't protect your kids from the world, or from life. Their life's going to be life, but you can arm them, you can prepare them, and then you can support them and stand in awe of what they do as they move forward. So
Amen. Yeah. I love it.
That's what I got.
Oh, that's what we got.
That's what we got. So we'll see you next week. We love y'all. And until next week, bye.
Peace.
I'm not sure I understand it, but everything seems bright now.